The massive alien fleet hung in space like a storm cloud of metal and death. 300 warships from the Vex Empire surrounded Earth's last defense station near Jupiter. Admiral James stood on the bridge of humanity's newest creation, the HFY Phoenix. His crew watched the tactical display with grim faces. They all knew the numbers, 300 against 1. "Sir, the Vex commander is hailing us," Lieutenant Maria reported from her station. The screen flickered to life. A creature with 6 eyes and gray skin appeared. Its voice boomed through the bridge. "Humans, your species has resisted for 3 years. It ends today. Surrender, and we will make you servants. Fight and you die." James looked at his crew. These brave men and women had volunteered for this mission, knowing they might not return. Dr. Robert, the lead scientist, gave him a small nod from his position near the quantum core controls. "Vex Commander," James said calmly, "humanity has a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog." The alien's 6 eyes blinked in confusion. "Your metaphors will not save you. You have 1 ship. We have 300. James smiled. "Yes, but you've never seen a ship like this." 6 months earlier, human scientists had made a breakthrough. While studying quantum mechanics in an underground lab on Mars, they discovered something impossible, a way to make matter exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Not just particles, but entire objects. The discovery came too late to build a fleet, but they had managed to construct 1 ship, the Phoenix. "All stations, prepare for quantum multiplication," James ordered. The Vex commander laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "1 ship cannot—" The space around the Phoenix began to shimmer. The single human warship wavered like a mirage in the desert. Then it split. 1 became 2. 2 became 4. 4 became 8. Within seconds, 300 identical versions of the Phoenix filled the space between Earth and the Vex fleet. The alien commander's 6 eyes widened in shock. "Impossible, our scanners show they're all real." And they were. This was humanity's secret weapon. The quantum drive didn't create illusions or holograms. Each version of the Phoenix existed fully in that moment, connected through quantum entanglement. What happened to one affected all, but each could act independently. "Fire," James commanded. 300 Phoenix warships opened fire simultaneously. Brilliant blue beams of concentrated energy lanced through space. The Vex shields, designed to handle conventional weapons, flickered and failed under the quantum-enhanced assault. The first Vex ship exploded in a ball of orange flame. "Return fire," the Vex commander screamed. The alien fleet responded with everything they had. Thousands of missiles and energy beams filled space. But hitting the Phoenix was like trying to catch smoke. The quantum ships phased in and out of reality, existing just long enough to fire before shifting to another quantum state. Vex weapons passed harmlessly through spaces where Phoenix ships had been microseconds before. On the bridge, Dr. Robert monitored the quantum core. "Admiral, we can maintain this state for another 15 minutes. "More than enough time," James replied, watching as another dozen Vex ships exploded. The battle was not a fight, it was a demonstration. The Vex, who had conquered 100 worlds, who had never lost a fleet engagement, were being systematically destroyed by what appeared to be 1 human ship that was everywhere at once. "Commander, we've lost half our fleet," a Vex officer reported, in panic. The Vex commander's gray skin had turned pale. Its 6 eyes darted between the multiple Phoenix ships, trying to determine which was real. It didn't understand that they all were. "This is Admiral James to the Vex fleet." The human's voice echoed across all channels. "You came to our home. You threatened our people. Now you see what happens when you corner humanity. We don't just fight back. We rewrite the rules of the game." As the last Vex ship tried to flee, the 300 Phoenix warships converged, their quantum states collapsing back into one. The single human vessel hung in space, surrounded by the debris of an entire alien armada. News of humanity's victory spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. On 1,000 worlds, species that had cowered before the Vex Empire watched, the battle recordings in disbelief. The humans, a young species barely 3 centuries into space travel, had done the impossible. In the Grand Council chambers of the Galactic Alliance, representatives from 50 species gathered in emergency session. The massive hall, built from crystal that sang with harmonic frequencies, buzzed with nervous conversation. At the center, Elder Tom of the Ancient Keepers stood, his blue robes flowing as he raised forearms for silence. "We have all seen the recordings," Tom began, his voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. "The humans have developed something beyond our understanding. A single ship that became many, yet remained one." Ambassador Lisa walked into the chamber, representing Earth for the first time. She was a small woman, but she carried herself with the confidence of someone whose species had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Every eye, compound and simple, tracked her movement to the speaker's platform. "Honored representatives," Lisa began. "3 days ago, the Vex Empire brought war to our doorstep. They brought 300 ships to destroy our homeworld. They left as debris." A representative from the traders, a 6-legged creature covered in silver fur, stood up. "The Vex Empire controls 30 systems. They have thousands of ships. You destroyed 1 fleet. Lisa smiled. "Actually, we've destroyed 7 fleets in the last 72 hours. The chamber erupted in chaos. Voices in 100 languages all asked the same question. How? After our victory at Jupiter, we sent the Phoenix to every Vex military installation. In our sector, Lisa explained. Each battle lasted less than 20 minutes. The Phoenix cannot be stopped by conventional weapons. It exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously. To destroy it, you would need to destroy all versions at the exact same moment, which is technically impossible." Elder Tom's ancient eyes studied the human carefully. "And what does Earth want? You now possess the most powerful weapon in known space." "We want peace," Lisa said simply. "But peace on fair terms. For too long, older species have looked at younger races as resources to exploit. The Vex enslaved entire worlds. The Dominion strips planets bare. The collective forcibly absorbs other species into their hive mind." She paused, letting her words sink in. "That ends now. Humanity offers a simple choice: peaceful coexistence and fair trade, or face the Phoenix." The representative from the Dominion, a massive creature of living stone, rumbled with anger. "You threaten us. One ship, no matter how advanced, cannot police the entire galaxy." "One ship?" Lisa laughed. "Who said we only built one?" The main screen in the chamber activated, showing live feeds from 12 different star systems. In each one, a Phoenix-class warship materialized from quantum space. The message was clear: humanity could strike anywhere at any time. Back on Earth, in the hidden command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, General David watched the galactic feeds with satisfaction. The Phoenix warships were actually all the same ship, jumping between systems so fast it appeared to be in multiple places. But the galaxy didn't need to know that. Not yet. "Sir, we're receiving surrender transmissions from 16 Vex worlds," Captain Mark reported. "Accept them all," David ordered. "Send humanitarian aid immediately. We're liberators, not conquerors." This was the key to humanity's strategy. They didn't want to rule the galaxy. They wanted to free it. Every world liberated from the Vex received food, medicine, and technology. Every species was offered partnership, not servitude. Within a week, the Vex Empire had collapsed. Their slave species rebelled, knowing the Phoenix would protect them. Their military, terrified of the quantum warship, refused to fight. The Emperor himself broadcasted his surrender from the capital world. But not everyone was happy with humanity's rise. In the dark spaces between stars, ancient powers that had slept for millennia began to stir. They had sensed the quantum disturbance, felt reality itself being bent and twisted. These were the old ones, beings that existed before the current galactic civilization, and they did not appreciate humanity's meddling with the fundamental forces of the universe. On the Phoenix, Admiral James received a priority message from Earth's deep space sensors. Something was coming from the void between galaxies. Something vast and old and angry. "Admiral," Dr. Roberts said, studying his readings. I'm detecting massive quantum fluctuations from Sector 9. James looked at the data. Whatever was coming, it was bigger than anything they had faced before. Send word to Earth. Tell them we might need every phoenix we can build. The first sign came from the edge of the galaxy. An entire star system simply vanished. Not destroyed, not consumed. Erased from existence as if it had never been. The quantum sensors on the Phoenix screamed warnings as reality itself seemed to tear. Admiral James stood on the bridge watching the impossible readings. "Dr. Robert, what are we looking at?" The scientist's face was pale as he reviewed the data. "Admiral, something is moving through quantum space itself. It's rewriting reality as it moves." 3 days later, they got their first look at the enemy. The thing that emerged from the void defied description. It was not a ship in any conventional sense. It appeared to be made of folded space-time, a geometric impossibility that hurt to look at directly. It was the size of a small moon, but sensors indicated it existed in at least 7 dimensions simultaneously. "I am the Eternal," a voice spoke directly into every mind in the solar system. "You humans have played with forces beyond your understanding. The quantum realm is not for lesser beings to manipulate." Lisa, now Earth's chief diplomat, attempted communication from the Global Command Center. "We mean no harm. We only sought to defend ourselves." "Your intentions are irrelevant," the Eternal responded. "You have torn holes in reality with your crude manipulation of quantum states. We sealed ourselves away eons ago to prevent this exact scenario. Now we must cleanse this galaxy of your contamination." The Phoenix moved to intercept Admiral James at the helm. "All stations, prepare for quantum multiplication." The ship split into its 300 variants, surrounding the Eternal. "Fire." The quantum-enhanced weapon struck the entity from every angle. For a moment it seemed to work. The Eternal's form wavered, parts of it flickering out of existence. Then it laughed, a sound that resonated through dimensions. "Clever little insects," it said, "but you understand so little." The Eternal didn't attack in any conventional way. Instead, it began to unmake the Phoenix copies. One by one, they simply ceased to exist, deleted from reality like files from a computer. Within seconds, only the original remained. "Admiral, the quantum drive is failing," Dr. Robert shouted. "It's somehow disrupting our connection to quantum space." James made a quick decision. "Full retreat, get us back to Earth." As the Phoenix fled, more Eternals began emerging from the void. 5, 10, 20 of the impossible beings. They moved slowly, but inevitably, toward the inner solar system. On Earth, emergency meetings were held. General David assembled every military leader, scientist, and strategic mind humanity had. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're facing beings that exist outside our normal understanding of physics. Our greatest weapon is useless against them. We need alternatives." Dr. Sarah, a young physicist from the Mars colony, raised her hand. "What if we're approaching this wrong? The Eternals exist in multiple dimensions. Our quantum drive only manipulates 3-dimensional space. We need to think bigger." "Explain," David ordered. "The quantum drive creates multiple states of the same object in our dimension. But what if we could shift the Phoenix into other dimensions entirely? Not multiply it, but move it outside the Eternal's ability to delete it?" Robert's eyes lit up. "Dimensional phase shifting. It's theoretical, but it might work." They had 48 hours before the Eternals reached Earth. Every scientist on the planet worked without sleep, modifying the Phoenix's quantum drive. The mathematics alone filled thousands of pages, calculations that pushed human understanding to its absolute limit. Meanwhile, unexpected allies began arriving. The Vex Empire, facing the same threat, offered their technology. The Keepers shared ancient knowledge about dimensional travel. Even the xenophobic collective opened their hive mind to human scientists, processing calculations at incredible speed. "This is remarkable," Lisa observed, watching former enemies work together. "It took a threat to all existence to unite the galaxy." Elder Tom nodded with his ancient wisdom. Perhaps that was humanity's true gift, not the weapon you created, but the unity you inspired. As the Eternals approached Earth, the modified Phoenix prepared for its most dangerous mission. Admiral James knew this was likely a one-way trip. The dimensional phase shift was untested. They could end up trapped between dimensions or scattered across infinite realities. "All hands," James announced to his crew. "What we do in the next hour will determine the fate of not just humanity, but all life in this galaxy. I cannot promise we will survive, but I can promise that we will fight with everything we have. For Earth, for the galaxy, for existence itself." The crew responded with determined silence. They all understood the stakes. The Phoenix hung in space, before Earth, its hull shimmering with new modifications. The dimensional phase drive hummed with barely contained energy. Admiral James gripped his command chair as Dr. Robert made final adjustments. "Admiral, the Eternals will be here in 10 minutes, Lieutenant Maria reported. 23 of them converging on Earth." "How's our new drive, Doctor?" James asked. Robert wiped sweat from his forehead. "Theoretically functional. But Admiral, we have no idea what we'll find in other dimensions. We could materialize inside a star, or in a dimension where physics works differently." "Better than letting them erase Earth," James replied. "Begin phase shift." The Phoenix began to vibrate, its edges becoming blurry. Reality around the ship started to bend. Then, with a sound like tearing fabric, the warship vanished from normal space. The crew found themselves in a place that defied description. Space here was not black, but a swirling mixture of colors that didn't exist in normal reality. Objects appeared solid from one angle and gaseous from another. Time seemed to flow in multiple directions at once. "Where are we?" Maria whispered. "Between," Robert answered, checking his instruments. "We're existing in the space between dimensions. Look." On the main screen they could see their dimension like looking through murky water. The Eternals had arrived at Earth. But from this perspective, the crew could see something extraordinary. The Eternals weren't the gods they pretended to be. They were machines, incredibly advanced, but still bound by rules and patterns. "They're quantum computers," Robert breathed. "Living quantum computers from a dimension where thought and matter are the same thing. That's how they delete things from reality. They're literally rewriting the code of existence." "Then we need to give them a virus," James said. "Something that disrupts their processing." Captain Mark, the weapons officer, had an idea. "What if we don't attack them directly? What if we create a paradox they can't resolve?" The plan was insane, but it was their only chance. Using the dimensional phase drive, the Phoenix would exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, not copies, but the same ship experiencing different realities at once. The Eternals, who processed reality like data, wouldn't be able to comprehend something that existed in contradictory states. "This will either work or tear the ship apart," Robert warned. "Do it," James ordered. The Phoenix began its impossible maneuver. It phased into 7 dimensions at once. In one it was solid metal, in another pure energy. In a third, it existed backward in time. All these states were true simultaneously. When the Phoenix reappeared in normal space, directly in the middle of the Eternal formation, the effect was immediate. The godlike beings froze, their forms flickering wildly. They tried to delete the Phoenix, but how could they delete something that existed and didn't exist at the same time? "It's working!" Maria shouted. They're crashing!" One by one, the Eternals began to implode, their forms collapsing as they tried to process the paradox. But the strain on the Phoenix was immense. The ship groaned, its hull beginning to crack from the stress of existing in multiple states. "We can't maintain this much longer," Robert warned. "The quantum drive is overloading." That's when humanity's allies acted. The combined fleet of the galaxy, Vex, Keepers, Traders, and dozens of other species arrived. They had been watching, waiting for the moment to strike. As the Eternals struggled with the paradox, the Allied fleet opened fire, with everything they had. But it was a transmission from Earth that turned the tide. Dr. Sarah had made another breakthrough. Admiral, we're sending you new calculations. If you inverse the phase shift at exactly the right moment, it will create a quantum lock, trap the Eternals between dimensions. James didn't hesitate. Maria, implement the new calculations. Mark, prepare to inverse on my mark. The Phoenix shuddered, its multiple existences beginning to merge. The Eternals, sensing the trap, tried to flee back to their void. But it was too late. Now, James commanded. The Phoenix collapsed all its dimensional states into one, creating a quantum shockwave that rippled through space-time. The Eternals, caught in the wave, were pulled into the space between dimensions, the same space the Phoenix had just escaped. But unlike the human ship, they had no way back. One by one, the godlike beings vanished, trapped in the void between realities. The last Eternal sent a final message. You have won this day, humans, but you have attracted the attention of powers far greater than us. Beware the final darkness. Then it was gone, and space was quiet again. 6 months had passed since the battle with the Eternals. Earth had become the unofficial capital of a new galactic alliance. The Phoenix, repaired and upgraded with technology from a dozen species, patrolled the spaceways as a symbol of unity, rather than fear. Admiral James stood in the new United Galactic Council chambers, built in orbit around Earth. Representatives from every known species had gathered to sign the Charter of Coexistence. No more empires, no more slavery, no more wars of conquest. The galaxy has learned something important, James addressed the assembly. No single species, no matter how powerful, can stand alone against the threats that exist in the universe. The Eternals showed us that. There are things out there, ancient, powerful, incomprehensible things. Our only hope is to stand together. Dr. Robert, now head of the Galactic Science Collective, presented their latest discovery. By combining human quantum technology with Keeper dimensional knowledge and Vex energy manipulation, we've created something new, not a weapon, but a shield. The display showed a massive structure being built at the edge of the galaxy. The quantum barrier. It will prevent entities like the Eternals from entering our galaxy without warning. We'll have time to prepare, to respond together, but not everyone was celebrating. In the depths of space, Captain Mark led a reconnaissance mission aboard the Phoenix. They had been tracking strange signals from the void, whispers that suggested the Eternals' warning about the final darkness was not an idle threat. Admiral, you need to see this, Mark called over the quantum communicator. The Phoenix had discovered something at the very edge of known space. A structure, clearly artificial, older than any civilization in the galaxy. It was a warning beacon, written in 1,000 dead languages, all saying the same thing. Do not wake the sleeper. James studied the data from Earth. Who built this? According to the Keeper's oldest records, Elder Tom explained, there was a civilization before all others. They called themselves the First. They fought something so terrible that they sacrificed their entire species to put it to sleep. And our battle with the Eternals? James asked, though he suspected the answer. May have begun to wake it, Tom confirmed, but humanity had changed the galaxy. Where once there would have been panic and fleeing, now there was determination. The Vex offered their industrial might to build defenses. The collective shared their vast processing power to decode the First's technology. The traders established supply lines to support a united military force. Dr. Sarah, studying the beacon, made a startling discovery. The First didn't just sacrifice themselves, they left us something. Instructions, plans. They knew someone would eventually face the sleeper again. The plans were for a ship unlike anything ever conceived. Not just one that could manipulate quantum states or dimensions, but one that could rewrite the fundamental laws of physics in a localized area. It would take the entire galaxy's resources to build, and even then it would only have enough power for one shot. Then we'd better make it count, General David said. Construction began immediately. The ship, christened Humanity's Promise, was built in the heart of a star, using the stellar forge to create materials that couldn't exist in normal space. Every species contributed. The humans provided the quantum core. The Vex supplied the armor. The Keepers inscribed protection wards that existed in 17 dimensions. The collective networked 1 billion minds to serve as the ship's computer. As they built, strange things began happening at the galaxy's edge. Stars were going dark, not destroyed, but drained. Space itself was becoming cold and empty. The sleeper was stirring. "How long do we have?" Lisa asked at an emergency council meeting. "At the current rate, 6 months before it fully wakes," Robert calculated. "Humanity's promise will be complete in 5. James took command of the new ship with a crew drawn from every species. As they prepared for what might be the final battle, he reflected on humanity's journey. 3 years ago, they were fighting for survival against the Vex. Now they led a united galaxy against cosmic horrors. "You know," Maria said, now his second in command, "when we first activated the Phoenix's quantum drive, we thought we were just building a weapon, but we actually built something much more powerful." "What's that?" James asked. "Hope. We gave the galaxy hope that the impossible could be achieved." As humanity's promise launched toward the darkness gathering at the galaxy's edge, every world watched. The small young species from Earth had bent not just space and time to their will, but something more important. They had bent the galaxy's future toward unity and cooperation. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The galaxy had learned humanity's greatest lesson. When faced with the impossible, you don't accept defeat. You change the rules.